Welcome to Midnight Menu Plus One. I'm Ray Kanata. Margot Moss is not with us tonight. This is going to be a first in Midnight Menu history. I will be flying solo. Don't be afraid. It'll be okay. We'll get through this. Margot is ill tonight. She had a bad donut at Upper 9 Donuts last Saturday. Her lawyer will be contacting you very soon. Now, that's an inside joke. We'll explain that in a minute. But we're at Ted's Frost Top on Claiborne and Calhoun in Uptown New Orleans. Once a week, Margot and I meet here at Ted's, and we invite a member of New Orleans restaurant community to join us. And we invite them to bring along a friend, a plus one. We never know who that's going to be. It could be their masseuse. It could be their who they took to the prom. It can be a spouse, mistress. We never know. But we're excited to have our guest this morning. He is a very interesting man on Midnight Menu Plus One. Michael Caine is a leader of the punk band The Parishioners. He's a sculptor of public art pieces. He tools around in a 1950s Edsel, just pulled up in that. He is an active member of the crew of the Rolling Elvi, and now he's fast becoming the Donut King of New Orleans, Upper 9 Donuts, and we're very excited to hear about this, a pop-up model, a little different. I feel like this has been sort of the year of the pop-up or the summer of the pop-up for me, and I'm really excited to have with us tonight the one and only Michael Caine. So thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, Ray. I appreciate it. It's always nice to get out and plug new things and get talking. You know.
All right. Well, tell us. Go right ahead and tell us how in the world did you? I've known you for a while. Full disclosure here, I've known you for a bit, and we're good friends. And how did you? You never told me how you got involved in the donut business. First of all, when did it start?
It started. We started working on recipes just about 9 months ago, I would say.
Wow.
We were talking about it a few months beforehand, and it just all evolved. So obviously I'm not the king of donuts because there are 4 of us that are actually involved. And
co-monarch or something?
Yeah.
Co-regent?
A collective.
A collective?
A collective. I wouldn't say communist.
Oligarchy?
What's the word I'm looking for? An assembly.
Yeah, okay. So the 4 of you got together.
Correct.
And you decided 9 months ago you're going to start thinking about this. And when did you open for business?
We opened about 8 weeks ago at Tracy's. So
that's all it's been, 8 weeks?
Yeah,
okay.
Maybe 9. It's actually 9 weeks. So,
okay.
But I got involved basically because my studio's right in the Bywater, Upper 9.
That's where the name came from?
Yeah, and one of the reasons, my own personal reason, my partner definitely has his own reasons, and he'll explain that later.
Okay.
But the neighborhood changed so drastically over the last couple years. I mean, people are moving in. It's gentrifying a little bit. I kind of miss my drag queens and crackheads around the corner.
So you decided to go to the Irish Channel to get some more normalcy? Is that what you're doing?
I guess it's in a roundabout way. We do plan on getting back into the Bywater. You know.
Oh, you do? Okay.
It was where our start is.
So if you do really well, you're going to leave us? Is that what you're saying?
No. We're still planning on doing Tracy's.
Okay.
We're going to keep that open. We're actually looking for a place soon, but definitely we're starting this thing on low capital and.
Okay, but why donuts? So you didn't answer that.
Well, yeah, that's what I was getting into.
Are you obsessed with donuts personally, or?
I am not a sweets person, believe it or not. It all came relatively new to me, but again, the neighborhood was changing so much, and my studio literally is in the middle of where all these restaurants are popping up. So, I was like, let's say my gallery work hasn't been I haven't been doing my gallery work that much lately, and I have this great 3,000 square foot studio with an open door front right to where all these restaurants are opening up. So I just thought maybe it would be a good idea to take advantage of this circumstance. And I do love food, but I'm not a food. I haven't been in the food industry that long. But I talked to my guest, my plus one here, and we just started talking about.
You just outed him now. Okay.
So we started.
Well, that might be a good intro to him.
Yeah.
Let's have him sit down with us too.
Sure.
And
Go ahead.
why don't you introduce who your plus one is?
This is Glenn Haggerty, one of 4 partners in the project. We have Glenn Haggerty, 2 people who aren't making it is Melissa Haggerty, his wife, and Douglas Clausen. So.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Hello,
welcome.
Ray. How you doing?
Good to have you here.
It's great to be here.
I love your donuts, so I can't wait to start talking about that in a minute. But so how do you know each other?
Well, when I first came to New Orleans, I frequented bar quite often in the quarter. He opened up a bar when he was younger, so that was.
What's the name of the bar?
It was a Haggerty's Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
Very
All right.
creative name.
Yes.
Yeah.
But hung out with him for a long time and just became friends, and it kind of evolved and between me, him, and Doug, and then just friendship that way, and then we.
Okay, so
decided
again,
to
why
get on
donuts? Why pick of all the business ventures to get into?
Well,
Why
again,
donuts?
that's why. Like from there, we were talking about some kind of a restaurant.
Okay.
And capital was a problem. Building out the space, equipment, all these things, especially with not having a long history in the industry. And Glenn was living in Chicago, and I think one weekend he texted me and said, "How about donuts?" And he explained the reasons. He explained, this place called the Donut Vault in Chicago, and all they do is have an open door and they serve out. So you don't need a lot of the equipment or anything that you have to staff a restaurant. So soon after, we started making recipes in the studio and in their apartment, and came up with some pretty good things, and it evolved from
So
there.
you moved back to New Orleans for this venture?
Yeah, well,
Well,
not completely,
but
but
other things too?
yeah, other things. But no, I mean, I'm in Chicago, and we're walking down the street, and there's a restaurant, a little Italian restaurant in Little Italy. My wife and I are going to get coffee Saturday morning, and there's the restaurant that we love going to. The front door is open, and they're selling donuts right out of the front. I'm like, this is really cool. Didn't think much of it. And then each week they started doing it and got more creative. And one of the donuts was a creme brulee. And I'm going, I'm always back in New Orleans. I have another business here in New Orleans or in the region. And, it was like, I'm getting a creme brulee donut in Chicago, and I can't get anything remotely close to that in New Orleans, where creme brulee is from.
Yeah, they should have like a bratwurst donut or something like that there,
so
right?
and actually they may, but no, I mean, so it's just like, okay, well, there's an opportunity there.
Right.
Started developing the business idea, the concept, and then obviously the donuts themselves. So that's kind of the start of it, the idea.
Huh. So it was your idea before Michael's, and then Michael was your friend, and you made the connection. And
Mike had approached me about the space and trying to think
Okay.
outside the box with the space. And then, I kind of was thinking about the donut idea
Okay.
and how to bring donuts to market in New Orleans. And knowing there's not a lot of places that do donuts in the city. You have your bakeries and great bakeries, but nothing, kind of like what's happening in other parts of the country with donuts. So I just
changing the concept of the donut.
Right.
I mean,
right.
Right.
So it's not
So-
just. So talk about that. So it's not
Sure.
not just your run-of-the-mill old-fashioned donut or whatever. There's, okay. So I went by on Saturday. Finally, I've been wanting to go by for weeks and weeks, and
Yep.
every Saturday I have something going on. And one time I came by, it was like 10 o'clock. You guys were already sold out, and then you open at 8. You've been selling out every week at about 10 o'clock or so, I think, 10:30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I got there a little late. But so this time we got there, and you offered 7 different kinds of donuts. We got them all. And, of course, and I had 6 of them. The only one I didn't have was the praline bacon because I got a nut allergy. Otherwise, I would have had that too.
Ooh,
Okay.
So
right.
you brought some with you tonight. Can you
We did.
can you go run through those a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. Let's see. The first one is a Creole cream cheese mousse with fresh strawberries,
Nice.
and it's dusted with powdered sugar. The strawberries themselves, although these aren't because the strawberries are out of season,
Right.
but when we first started 9 weeks ago, there were strawberries from Ponchatoula.
Nice.
John Dale Farms, we hooked up with them at the market, and they were great. They, kind of really helped us out as far as the strawberries themselves. And the Creole cream cheese mousse, it's basically a cream cheese, Creole cream cheese, lightened up a little bit so it's not as heavy.
Yep.
And my wife Melissa, she's kind of she is the one who really has a background in pastries, and
Yeah,
I mean
right.
she gets it.
Yeah.
So
She's been spearheading the recipes.
right.
Cool.
Right.
Okay, let's look at another one.
Sure.
Yeah.
We got a bunch here, so we got to run through these.
What's great about this
and
strawberries?
I had one of those on Saturday. And
You
that was
did?
that was my favorite one, I think,
Cool.
of the
Yeah.
7 we
Awesome.
had.
And what's good about that, which we're trying to make it on a New Orleans twist in rethinking the donut is we slice it in half, so we like to call it dressed. Like
That's true. That's right. Yeah, it's a dressed donut. That's right.
Nice. A dressed
So,
donut.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Don't feed me one of these donuts, Grant. No. Didn't you listen? I had 6 donuts on Saturday. I cannot.
Yeah.
I cannot
Well,
eat more
Now
donuts.
you feel our pain.
Oh, I want to try one of the ones I haven't had yet.
I feel weird
Let's
bringing
give some of those to our
desserts to
our studio
know.
audience
I know.
here.
So the
All right, what's this one?
Let's see. This is a chocolate, and it's just straight chocolate. There's no sugar, no additives, no nothing.
You
It's
just melt down pure
really good quality
chocolate.
chocolate.
Yeah.
And then instead of putting like sprinkles or something, we actually put Pop Rocks on it.
Pop Rocks.
Yeah.
Oh, that one I want. Let me
So,
try that. Wow.
It's surprising
That's
that
awesome.
a lot of kids today
Oh.
don't realize they don't know what Pop Rocks is. So.
Yeah. You know what? I never had a Pop Rock before. This will be my first time.
Are you serious?
They were really big in 4th grade. I was afraid of them because I heard Mikey died
Right,
from
yeah.
Pop Rocks. And so I've
Yeah.
never had a Pop Rock.
Well,
This will be my first time.
What was the thing? You can't have Pop Rocks and something else, or your
Coca-Cola, I think. or
Yeah, it's
something.
Yeah, that's
Coca-Cola.
right. Wow. Okay. Now what's the
So,
next one? While I bite into this one.
Yeah, the next one is the chocolate, same chocolate with salted caramel. And,
Oh yeah, I had that on Saturday.
and
That's
pink.
magnificent.
Yeah, it's pink Himalayan sea salt
Mm-hmm.
on top. So,
Correct.
one of the probably the best compliments we've gotten, we've received, is the fact, somebody said, they're really not that sweet, and we're really trying to make sure that it's not, filled with sugar. And I mean, it's a donut. Don't get me wrong, but more of a, in a lot of ways, the European dessert where it's
right.
it's got a little bit of a savory quality to it.
Yep.
So as a matter of fact,
These Pop Rocks are rattling around in my mouth right now. I thought I was done, and they're still going.
cool.
No
I already
longer Pop
swallowed my
Rocks
donut,
virgin.
and now my mouth's still rattling. When does it stop?
Well,
Now
we'll
I know
see.
why they're so popular. Okay.
This is the creme brulee.
That's the creme brulee. And-
Yeah.
and- come on. Does anyone else besides that Chicago place you talked about offer creme brulee donut? What a great idea.
Yeah, donut plant in New York.
Huh.
I don't know if they were the first or Voodoo Donuts up in Portland,
Right.
but
I mean, everybody in the world puts Boston cream in a donut and all
right.
that stuff.
Correct,
And
yeah.
well,
this is just like that, but taken up like just a couple more notches, right?
well, it is, and not only that, but I mean, your Boston creams, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be. It's going to be a powdered mix. It's
Right.
This is actually a.
This is real creme
this is
brulee
creme
that you put
brulee,
in there,
Same
made
thing
fresh.
that you would make.
Now you
and-
also have the toasted part on top, right?
Correct. Yeah, we dry out some brown
That's
sugar.
pretty cool.
And it's a mixture of sugars that we dry out, and then we glaze it with a vanilla glaze, and then put the sugar
That was my
on
second
top.
favorite, to be honest.
the
That was
brulee.
amazing.
And then we torch it, just like you would torch the top of a brulee.
So you torch it while it's already on the donut?
Yeah, we
Yes.
torch the entire
You torch
donut.
the donut.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So, as a matter of fact, it was a shame that I wanted to torch it here, but there's too because the smell, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. But it gets too soggy
All right.
if you let it sit.
I just got to have another
Sure.
one of these. It's great.
But no, I mean, I can't stress enough about the quality of ingredients, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And doing it scratch and doing it right.
Yeah.
So they don't hold. They don't last. Several days. Not
Now,
filled.
I'm hoping you didn't bring us any other donuts. Is this it?
We did.
No, we have quite
No.
a few, we have a few more.
I think at least one of the ones you have to talk about is the very new one, the Bananas Foster.
Yeah.
Bananas Foster donut. You didn't have that on Saturday.
No, that's
No, this is
you
brand
really
new.
need the first-
By the way, the
gonna be the first
radio
one to
audience
taste it,
cannot
Ray.
hear this. We have a number of patrons that are here at Ted's, and I was talking to one right before, and they've come to your place every week the last 4 weeks. They were walking by, they came in, they saw it, they loved it, and now
Awesome.
they've gone back every Saturday since. And every time I mention one of the donuts, I hear them like moaning and sighing behind my neck. It's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so,
All right, so this is a Bananas Foster donut.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is the first time
Wow.
we've done it actually. So you're taking the first bite.
I'm going to take the first bite of it.
Yeah. So
I'm going to make history.
be,
You don't want to take a
be
picture
kind
of this?
if we got it wrong.
I know Melissa. She
Wow,
didn't
that's
get it.
awful. I'm just kidding. That's fantastic. That's honestly one of the tastiest donuts I've ever had. You can taste, like you say, it's not too sweet, it's not overpowering, so you can taste the banana. It's got a really neat consistency to it too. It's almost kind of like I don't know what you call it, like a pudding more than a custard almost. I don't know what you.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it's a base off of a pudding recipe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but matter of fact, the bananas themselves are roasted. So you're getting a depth of flavor in there that, if you're
there
if
you
you're
go,
doing a
Jeff.
Bananas Foster in a pan,
Yeah.
you're going to get that fire and that roast kind of quality.
Right.
You can't do that with a banana pudding. So in order to achieve it, she roasts the bananas whole. And
Okay, now
then-
where'd you find these recipes? I mean, your wife came up with this. Where'd you come
Yeah.
up with this?
Well, there most recipes like a banana pudding. It's not going to be specific to a donut, so you have
Right.
to take a recipe that you have or recipes and just play with it and get it right for what you're doing, because the end product is so different.
Consistencies of the
Even the
glazes and everything else.
the custard for the brulee has to be a little bit thicker to
get it.
pipe in, and so you just have to play with it and work with it. So, as a matter of fact,
Have you had any bomb? Have you had any that you tried and just did not work out? It sounded like a good idea at the time, but like, what's one that you don't offer anymore that you tried out one week and just?
Well, it's not that it exactly bombed because we're selling out, of course.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think what happened was the key limes were.
It's funny you
Lighting
say
up.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't going to mention it, but of the 6 that I tried, the only one that didn't absolutely wow me was the key lime.
Right.
I felt like it was a little overpowering the flavor. It was super. The flavor was too much.
you have to like key lime.
Yeah,
You have to really like key lime.
It's
but
an all or
even
nothing.
I do like
Yeah.
key lime, and I have a key lime tree in my backyard. But the thing is, it was just too overwhelming. It was like I couldn't taste anything else after that. Like burned
Right.
out my taste
Palate,
buds.
yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I liked it. I mean,
Of course, after
don't
6
get me
donuts.
wrong. What?
Of course, after 6 donuts, you never know.
Yeah, I don't remember the order it came in. That's a good point. That's a really good point. But anyway, yeah, I think we all agreed the strawberry was our favorite, and the key lime was our least favorite, probably.
Okay.
But so, my wife's disagreeing. She liked the key lime. She's
like
from
key lime?
Miami though. She's obsessed
Well,
with key
there
limes.
you
Yeah.
go.
Oh, my wife said. My daughter says she liked it too. Okay. Well,
What-
we got a little disagreement here.
on the Bananas Foster, one thing I did want to mention, we're talking about ingredients,
Right.
And I had a conversation with purveyor of fine spirits. We were talking about rum for the sauce.
Yes.
And typically it's a Myers dark rum. Is
Okay.
what you're using at what unfortunately was Brennan's, and but we kind of settled on New Orleans rum because number one, we wanted it to be a local product, if at all
That's
possible.
great.
But the second thing is we use the spiced one. So it's got cayenne in it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got some cinnamon, some allspice. It's got some spices to it. So you're getting away from the sugar and getting into some
And that's in your
spices.
Bananas Foster.
That glaze is on there is with
Nice.
New Orleans rum. So yeah.
Wow. Huh. Well, I mean, that's really wonderful. I mean, I'll tell you one thing I really appreciate about pop-ups. We were talking about pop-ups right before the show, too, with some folks, is you walk down a place like Magazine and you see all these empty storefronts on days that they're closed or if they're not open for breakfast. Like Tracy's is a bar. They're not really open for breakfast usually, I guess, right, at
No,
8
no,
on Saturdays.
no.
And it's just great to keep these wonderful properties open all the time and then have a variety of stuff, too. I mean, I may not pop in for a beer at Tracy every time I pass,
Sure.
but I can come by and get a donut, too. That's really neat. So the business model is kind of interesting, too. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, how does that work with your relationship with Tracy's?
Well, fortunately enough, Glenn knew Jeff pretty well. I mean, they're both from Chalmette.
And for our listeners, we should say
sorry.
Some of you that may
I
not
should
know
say that.
Tracy's is
Araby.
I'm from
I
Arabic,
forgot
not
about
Chalmette,
that.
Oh.
but it's all good.
Don't want to offend, yeah.
So it was. I mean,
Tracy's is a bar,
yeah.
famous bar, kind of the successor to Parasols in some people's mind. It also has great roast beef po' boys and all that on Magazine. Irish Channel, iconic place.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
Yeah. So he was kind enough to give us an opportunity because I think, we got to the point where we didn't have the capital to build out of my studio right away, and we wanted to. I mean, we thought the recipes were great, so I thought we all thought it was time to try to test market and see if we were right on our own products, and this was the best way to do it. And he's lets us come in and,
So
early
you pay,
in
so
the
you
morning.
pay him rent to use the space. So you use his kitchen too at all? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
We use his kitchen in the morning, prep everything, and then bring it out and open the door and
Because they have
start
a full
selling.
kitchen there, basically.
Correct.
Yeah.
The space isn't being used. It's real recognizable, I guess,
Correct.
right? Because everybody knows Tracy's is kind of like an anchor to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, and the nice part about it's it's Tracy's isn't in a stretch of commercial properties. It's literally in the middle of the neighborhood.
Right.
So 4-8 blocks, people are walking their dogs, running. We get a lot of people running, see us, go shower and come back. Grab their wife and come back, or their husband and come back. So it's really neat to see people walking their dogs, stopping, and it's a nice little community type thing. So it's cool.
So do you have like a lease with Tracy's? How's that work? Are you just doing week by week?
No,
you just kind of have a gentleman's agreement sort of thing going?
Yeah, Jeff and I have been friends for a while.
Okay.
So it was something that we wanted to get it to market just to get some feedback and see if it would do what we thought it would do.
Okay.
But we haven't done anything official or extended a lease.
Okay,
or
so what's the
anything.
next step then now? So you obviously it's been successful. You're selling out every time.
Yeah.
And so do you want to extend it to other days too, or do you want to go straight to a brick and mortar kind of thing? I mean, are you going to move into your studio and try to turn that into? Is that zoned for that?
Yeah. Well, it's we're going to work other. We're actually looking at a place in the Central Business District right now. Very soon to try to do 6 days a week, but we also definitely have intentions to stay at Tracy's on Saturdays. I think maybe my own opinion, I think it might be too much to push it there more than 1 day a week, but we definitely want to keep a presence there, and step by step. Once we get a little more progress going on in a brick and mortar place and get consistency and get more production out of it. Then we'll try. I mean, obviously, both of us have strong ties in the Ninth Ward. I mean, his family grew up there.
Right.
He's there. Granted, I'm a transplant, but I've still been there 16 years.
Tell me this now. So you have your name's Upper Nine. Mm-hmm. That's it's becoming a hipster mecca to your chagrin, I think, Michael, as you've alluded to a little bit, right?
But it's still. I mean,
right.
There's nice. All
right, but with that name though, you got to have a vegan donut too, right? Are you guys gonna do a vegan donut next? What are you doing?
No.
No, you don't want a vegan donut?
Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen.
No, I mean, who knows? But
I mean, is it that much more complicated to make a vegan donut?
It is not. I don't think.
It's just a suggestion I got.
the eggs would be an issue.
The eggs would be an issue.
Yeah,
Okay.
a slight problem, but
right.
I think if some people can overlook certain ingredients, maybe we'll have something close to a vegan donut.
Well, it's between you and them. Okay. So let's see now where we go from here. So we're gonna see you're planning. You have firm plans to open up a place. I mean, you know that donuts really, to me, in New Orleans seem to be kind of not ever present. Let's say, right?
Well,
it was the old McKinsey's Donuts that all the old timers talk about. It's a historic place everybody loves. That kind of morphed eventually into the chicken in a box place or whatever. But everybody has stories about that. And it was on Prytania. They still have the neon lights for it. I know you got a background neon where the Creole Creamery is. And now we have Blue Dot that opened up. And that's the first one that really had these, at least since I've been here, that has the super creative ones.
Right.
Whatever, and then they're opening a second place on Chapatoulas, so they're growing as well. And sounds like you guys maybe are in the beginning of something that is may take off.
Yeah, because it was definitely when we first started talking about that was in the back of my mind. It's not a donut city. It's a what's the
beignets?
Yeah, thank you. It's a beignet city.
Even that though, that's more of a myth, right? I mean, there's only a few places that serve beignets.
Right.
It's hard to get a beignet.
Wow.
There's one place in Uptown, New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood
and that's
Company,
fairly new too.
which is new.
Yeah. I think
is the only place that serves beignets in all the whole Uptown area.
But I think it's still a mind frame, and there's so
pastries,
many other,
a lot of pastries and croissants, tons of great croissant. I can walk to 4 or 5 great croissant places a few blocks from my house.
And you think of the dessert history, bread pudding.
Right.
So
you're sort of marrying a couple things here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think and again, this is not, it really isn't the Krispy Kreme kind of donut. And so I think we're going in a different direction.
Right.
And I think it's palatable to people who, let's say just foodies. I think we're reaching to people who want something different from a donut.
Right.
I mean, obviously, we're not taking ourselves too serious either.
Yeah.
Pop rocks on a donut. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, the donuts you brought tonight. There's not one of those I've ever had anywhere else. Personally,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't even think I've heard of. I mean, I've never heard of a banana Foster's donut, a creme brulee donut.
Right.
Those are very Pop Rocks on a donut, salted caramel on a donut. You just don't hear those
As a
things.
matter of fact, I mean, we've tested out a bunch more. And we're talking about beignets. We actually did a beignet and cafe au lait donut all in
Yeah.
one, which is really good.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
When
we
we were
did.
doing the small batches, we
Yeah.
would put pure coffee. We tried different concepts. We did pure coffee grinds. We did extracts, all this to get the flavor inside the donut. And then when you laid the powdered sugar on top, it tasted exactly like a cafe au lait.
It's basically taking a bite of a beignet.
So what-
and
so what are you
drinking a
waiting
sip
for?
of- Well, it's not conducive to the pop-up. You know,
Yeah.
it's just the other one we were doing was a lemongrass donut with
chili.
a Thai chili glaze,
Yeah.
which was a little spicy. So I mean, we have over about 100 different ideas for donuts.
So you have 100 different ideas. How many have
Yeah.
you used so far?
We've probably done about 25.
25.
Yeah.
Okay. Michael, I can't have you on the mic and not talk about your other interests. I mean, I've been,
Right.
as long as I've known you, I nicknamed you the sleeper because every time I'd be in a social setting with you, you kind of, our listeners can probably tell you're not
mumbler.
super chatty. You're a little bit of a mumbler, and then we'll be hanging out with a bunch of really effusive people, and then all of a sudden you'll just sort of mumble something that if you miss it, we'll regret it the rest of our lives because you'll have the killer line of the night. And all of a sudden it'll be like, yeah, and then I toured with Mick Jagger. I was his butler for a year or whatever. Like, it's always something with you. So,
Well, the music-
I mean, the only way we could explain it was that you're a traveler from the future because nothing else
But a
makes
janitor.
sense. Yeah, right. We couldn't figure it out. But so you've been in neon art.
Correct.
You
yeah.
lived in Heidelberg for a little while doing art. Is that right?
Actually, a little place in Bavaria called Fraunau. It was a really, really small town
Okay,
right on the
okay.
Czech border. So, and it was a long time.
You
It
were
was,
drunk. You told me it was Heidelberg.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, probably.
Imagine
All right.
that.
Yes,
All right, now imagine that.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
maybe we should get him to just tell stories about how you guys met at the bar. But anyway,
Well,
so
I think speaking of drunk, he's got a great one.
Actually,
Although it wasn't. Yeah,
well, it wouldn't be a midnight menu plus one without at least one
Yeah.
drinking story. You gotta.
No, actually, I was telling Mike when he had mentioned coming here to do the show. I was like, okay, it's been a while since I've been in this little area. 16 years old, I got arrested right over here.
At Roberts?
No, there was a little bar called Shanahan's.
All right.
Yeah, shouldn't have been in there.
They arrested people back then for
They
drinking
did.
at 16.
Actually, no.
I didn't
it
think they did.
it had
You must have
nothing
been
to-
acting up.
It had nothing to do with me drinking
Ah,
or being
of
in
course.
the bar. Yeah.
Okay.
No, just something.
Wait, what
stupid.
else was there? What else were you doing?
There was a breaker box, and evidently, I don't know if I did it, quite frankly, but they said I did. I flipped the switch, and next thing I know,
Ah.
I'm in bouncers and carried and out. And it was fun.
Nice.
It's great.
Okay, so
yeah.
this place has some sweet memories for you right here. Okay.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
That's awesome.
So,
All right, so Michael, just tell us a little bit about your art, what you do with that. I know you're still an active artist as well.
Yeah. I mean, I started out in neon definitely, and I really love the Frost Stop for that reason. But you know,
wonderful neon here. I mean, like the rotating mug
it's
and the rest of it.
That's
yeah.
a wonderful piece. But I got bored quickly. You know, I hated the process so much when I was in art school. I took it by accident, and it was just so extremely difficult to learn how to do. I quit school just to learn the trade. So after a little while, I got bored, so I went back, finished up my degree, and worked in the glass world for a while, and it eventually brought me into public sculpture. So
Now, were you already in New Orleans at this point?
yeah.
Now, how did you get to New Orleans?
Two glass classes came down, one from Alfred, New York, one from University of Wisconsin. We both did a road trip, met up in Ohio, came down, slept on the floors of this place in the Bywater called Studio Inferno, and that's what made me fall in love with that area of the city, because, you know, granted it was cold and everything, but we were walking from the Bywater past Frenchman Street. Cafe Brazil was happening at the time, and it was a really large glass scene that it was blowing up. So I was like,
So when the
That's
class
why.
was over, you moved down here?
well, not when it was. It was
Not
still
immediately,
It
but-
was still coming. Yeah, it was still pretty strong when I came down here. I mean, it faded a little bit, but that's probably because it faded around the country. You know. But it led me to getting involved in public sculpture. So I have a piece on Tab Gormley Stadium, and I have a piece out in Power Boulevard. So,
All right.
So But yeah.
Okay, now when did you put the band together? You're in the band, the punk band, the Parishioners. There used to be a lively punk scene in New Orleans.
I think of it as more of Americana than punk, but
It sounds like punk when you sing.
well, that's because I'm a bad singer, I guess.
Except for that night in Gulfport.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking
we won't
of
get
drunk
we won't go
nights.
there, but
You keep doing this. Now you have to tell us about the night in Gulfport.
What hurricane was that?
I don't remember.
It was the year after Katrina.
Yeah.
There was another one that came
Oh,
through.
Gustav in 2008.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it
okay.
could be.
Yeah.
So of course we're all skittish, and I've got a business over in Gulfport, and I invited Mike to come over to stay with my wife and I, just to get out of New Orleans in case anything happened.
On another shore town.
Yeah. Well, we were up a little bit.
Yeah, but you're
you
okay,
know.
though. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You're inland a little.
So it passes through, nothing happens, but the entire Gulfport, Biloxi's it's dead. There's nothing open, and we've been holed up for like 3-4 days in a hotel. It was a little small hotel, so we just were like, we got to get out of here. So there was one bar open on Highway 49, Gulfport, Mississippi, and we started drinking maybe about 2 o'clock, and 6 o'clock rolls around, 7 o'clock, and we, all right, we better get out of here. And karaoke started. And he starts singing Sinatra and Dino and everything else.
Sinatra.
And of course, it's nothing but everybody else is singing Guns N' Roses and country, and every fifth song it's one of the crooners over here, and everybody falls in love with him because he's out of the box, right? Next thing I know, the bar is filled with transvestites and
we have to admit this
transsexuals.
was a sports bar.
Yeah, it's a sports bar, billiards, and then it's nothing.
Wait, how'd you fill it up with the
Hold on.
transvestites? I missed
I
that
have no
part.
idea.
That's what
They
that's
just
what
we-
They
happened.
came by and they said, that guy sounds like a tranny magnet.
And the next thing I know,
Yeah.
they're singing as well because it's karaoke night. It was the most bizarre night ever. I mean, in Gulfport, Mississippi, singing karaoke with transsexuals.
Are there a lot of transsexuals in Gulfport?
I had no idea.
More
but
than we thought.
We're talking about the state of Mississippi, right?
That is exactly right.
Wow,
It was.
okay.
And
It
they
was.
all found that bar that night.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
And you were the draw. Wow. Okay, I don't even want to know, Michael. I think you're leaving out a detail of this story for me.
Well, actually, yeah, Waffle House. Yeah, went to Waffle House just to kind of get our head straight before we went home.
It always ends at the Waffle House.
That's it.
Okay. Well, listen, I think we're about out of time here, but it's been great spending time with you tonight, and we're thankful for Upper 9 Donuts. I know I am. I'm not going to get on the scale tomorrow. I'll skip a day or two after this, but this has been magnificent, and looking
most
forward to see what else you come out
Definitely
with.
thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you for coming. I know it was on short notice as well. Well, our special guest tonight on Midnight Menu Plus One was Michael Kane and his business partner Glenn Haggerty of Upper 9 Donuts. You can find out more about Upper 9 Donuts by following the links on our website, itsneworleans.com. Our show is recorded live at Ted's Frost Top on Claiborne Avenue in Calhoun in Uptown New Orleans. Ted's is open 7 days a week, serving first-class burgers, beer, and their awesome homemade root beer in a frosty mug. Midnight Menu Plus One is produced by Grant Morris. Chris Keogh is our technical director. The fabulous audio quality of the show is brought to you in part by PreSonus Audio Electronics. PreSonus makes some of the best audio recording and live sound products, including Studio One music production software, Studio Live digital mixing consoles, Eris studio monitors, and much more. Visit PreSonus.com for more information. You can get in touch with us here at Midnight Menu Plus One by going to our website, itsneworleans.com, and from there you can follow us on Twitter, you can find us on Facebook, you can sign up for our mailing list, join our fan club, buy T-shirts, all the rest of it. We don't really have the T-shirts, but while you're at itsneworleans.com, you can listen to other episodes of Midnight Menu Plus One, as well as other shows, Happy Hour, Mindset, True to the Game, Win-Win, and Out to Lunch. And if you're listening to the show on iTunes, thank you for subscribing. Maybe you could take a minute to rate and review us. That helps other people to find us. Midnight Menu Plus One is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. To be made here again at Ted's Frost Top, I'm Ray Canada. Good night.
You know Labor Day signals the unofficial end of summer, but not the end of your outdoor projects. Lowe's helps you do it right and helps you save with Labor Day deals throughout the store. Shop now and get 2 bags of Stay Green potty mix for $12. And keep your lawn looking neat and trim with a Craftsman 2-cycle 17-inch gas string trimmer, now $20 off at just $119. Whatever's still on your to-do list this Labor Day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 8/28. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. U.S. only.